إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد. Surely that was an Arabic introduction, and the meaning more or less has to do with praising Allah, the Creator and the Sustainer and the Founder of the heavens and the earth, and then further asking Him to exalt and mention, grant peace and send His salutations and His blessings upon the final messenger, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now I know the title is something that you need to reflect upon. It's one of these titles that can apply to anybody, anywhere, anytime. And as basic as it seems and sounds, as sophisticated as it is. And the effort which will be exerted tonight, and I seek Allah's assistance, is to try to highlight what is it like to be a Muslim. Whether you are a Muslim, possibly part-time, or maybe full-time, or maybe unemployed. Or if you're a non-Muslim and you wonder these creatures how they live with the propaganda of terrorism and backwardness and so many other negativities that the media portrays about Muslims, which we are free from. To give you an insight at the life of a Muslim. The human being is naturally greedy. By nature, you want more. And the Prophet ﷺ said, if the son of Adam had one mountain of gold, he would desire another mountain of gold. And you can look at the billionaires who continue to work hard night and day to even make more money. Even though if you're a billionaire, you can really chill. You're supposed to just buy your cars and buy the castle or the villa and just relax, man. Khalas, you have enough money to look after yourself and your children for, hundreds of years. But it doesn't work this way. And I can never forget the German, with no issues with German people, but he happened to be a German billionaire who dropped from like number 4 to number 17 in terms of the richest people on earth, and he committed suicide. Can you imagine? He was so rich that he wasn't as rich anymore, so now life sucks for him. He killed himself. So that's the son of Adam. We're greedy. Now that could be good, it could be bad. It depends on what is it that we're greedy about. The most common question that comes to mind when any kind of event takes place is, what's in it for me? That is a real question. What's in it for me? When someone makes an offer, a suggestion, a recommendation, naturally, without even thinking that you think in this way, the first thing that comes to mind is, what's in it for me? And similarly, one may ask, okay, you guys always trying to tell us about Islam, and it's this never-ending story on yearly basis, year after year, it's about Islam, 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 Discover Islam Week, and all this. What's going on? Why don't you guys just relax and leave us alone? I can understand if someone feels this way. But I recommend that you think positive and say, what's in it for me? Why would you want to become a Muslim? And what do you miss out on if you do not become a Muslim? And if you're a Muslim already, what are the advantages and the benefits you will gain in your life before the life to come if we were to implement Islam as it was revealed? That is a question to reflect on. What's in it for me? Being a Muslim brings about tremendous benefits. If we were to actually go over all of them, will be done by maybe April 25th. However, I don't think any one of us has that time. But we try to summarize and pick bullet points that we can relate to, inshallah, some of which we are experiencing because of the blessing of Islam, and some of which we are missing because we are missing parts of Islam. And so that it becomes means of encouragement for myself and for you to reconsider some of the things which we are doing and some of the choices we have made, so that we can become better people in general, towards ourselves, towards fellow Muslims, and towards the non-Muslims, specifically on campus. If one were to be a Muslim, the first benefit that one attains is fulfilling the objective of life. Now, as basic as this sounds, you know how many people actually fail in doing so? When Allah says in the Qur'an, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ, I have not created the humans and jinn, which is another form of creation made from smokeless fire. They're not ghosts, as some people think. They were not created except for the main purpose of worshipping Allah. Of course, the very first thing that comes to mind if you're a non-Muslim, why? Why does God want people to worship Him? Why this obligation? Why this burden that we have to carry? And I can easily say to you, why not? Don't you, in your life, appreciate people that have done good? You sure do. Whoever built or founded this university or other universities, you go to certain areas and you will find a board where they have pictures of them and a short biography and so on and so forth, and you've never met this person, but you stand there and you praise them. You feel the need to praise them. When anyone does any charitable work anywhere on earth, even though they haven't done you specifically a favor, you praise those people for the good that they're doing to the societies. This is unlike thankfulness. Thankfulness is you give me something, I thank you for it. Praising you is when you have a quality that deserves praise even though it is not affecting me directly. We still say, this guy, one of the nicest people on campus. Have you ever spoken to him? No. Has he done any favors specifically for you? No. So how come you're saying he's a nice guy? I just see the way he behaves, the way he conducts himself. He's such a nice guy. You praise him for that quality. And praise is worship in Islam. And so Allah has all of the names and the attributes that are beautiful and deserving of praise. And how do you show this praise? By worshiping. Now the amazing thing is, it does not benefit Allah in any way, shape or form, whether all of us worshipped Him or all of us disbelieved in Him. If we all disbelieved in Him, it does not harm Him either, because He is self-sufficient. So it's actually a benefit. The worship is actually benefiting us. It is not benefiting Allah. That's why in the Hadith al-Qudsi, Allah said that if all of the human beings were to be united upon the heart of the most righteous man or woman for this matter, then that will not increase the dominion of Allah in anything, because Allah is already the owner and sustainer of the heavens and the earth. So we say, on the contrary, we love to worship Allah. It is not a burden. The same way those who idolize basketball players or singers or whatever you call them, you find that people copy them, they think about them, they dream about them, they put their posters on their walls in their rooms, they try to dress like them, act like them, speak like them. Why? Because there's that admiration. All of these are acts of admiration. And to us, when it comes to Islam, we appreciate all human beings, but the only one who deserves this ultimate deification is Allah. So we enjoy this worship. It is not a burden. And Allah made this an outlet for the human beings, and He created us with the natural disposition to glorify something. That's why you find those who reject glorifying Allah wind up glorifying someone or something else. It's in their innate. You cannot run away from it. If they reject Allah, they will find another object of worship which they will glorify. It could be amongst other religions, other gods. And if it is, for example, an atheist, it would be his own thoughts, his own ideas, his own opinions, wherein he could stand in one place and be amongst 500 people, 499 opposing him, and he will say these 499 people are dead wrong and dumb, and I'm the only one who understands. So that person is actually deifying his own ideology. So it's in our nature. But it is only due in the ultimate sense to Allah. Now the interesting thing about this fulfillment of the objective of life is the continuation of the ayat, which very often we neither read nor hear. We usually hear the citation, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. We stop. The ayat continues to say, the following ayat, مَا أُرِيدُ مِنْهُمْ مِنْ رِزْقٍ وَمَا أُرِيدُ أَن يُطْعِمُونَ إِنَّ اللَّهَ هُوَ الرَّزَّاقُ ذُو الْقُوَّةِ الْمَتِينَ. The next verse says that Allah does not need that we provide Him with anything, nor does He need that we feed Him. It is Allah, however, who is the provider, the possessor of power, the most irresistible. Why is this being mentioned? Or what is the relationship between this ayah and the prior one? This is in order to tell us that most human beings are so immersed in making a living and trying to earn money that they wind up forgetting the purpose of life. Their whole life is trying to attain success. And usually in the minds of most human beings, success is synonymous with wealth. If someone is poor, he's automatically considered to be a failure, unsuccessful. And if someone is rich, even if he robbed people, even if he's a thief, even if he was an oppressor, still, he's got the car, he's got the things, he's successful. And human beings often fall into this particular trap. So when you become a Muslim, or you Muslim, when you live Islam completely, as Allah said, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا أُدْخُلُوا فِي السِّلْمِ كَافَّةً. O you who have already believed, enter into this Islam wholeheartedly, completely, all the way. When we live Islam in this sense, and perfection belongs to Allah, none of us is perfect. There's no way we can do 100% Islam. But it does not mean that we cannot strive. We cannot have that mode of thinking and exert ourselves. But that is what will bring about the fulfillment of the objective of life. And that's really something mind-blowing. I mean, can you imagine a human being who lives on this earth for 50, 60, 70 years and then returns to the dirt from which he came initially without having fulfilled the objective of life? It's amazing. It's like someone sends you to a school and says, all I want from you is just to show up in class. That's it. 8 o'clock is your class, just make sure that you're there. And somehow you go to this school, you're busy at the cafeteria, then you're busy socializing and chit-chat, then you go to the I don't know what room, then you spend half an hour in the bathroom, then you go off campus, and you do everything possible except the reason why you were sent to the school. Just make it to this one class. Assuming you're not a student, someone sent you with a task, one task. It's amazing. You say, this person, are you serious? I mean, I just asked you for one thing, and you did everything else except that one thing. But it's exactly the same thing. A whole lifespan, 365 days every year of signs and you know, ability to reflect and contemplate, and we're just like, we don't know what's going on. We don't know what's going on. The fulfillment of the objective of life, the most basic requirement of every human being. Because if a person were to fail in doing so, then a person were to return to his Creator, then he will have a hard time. A serious hard time. And the difference between this life and the life to come is that in this life there's something called rectification. You guys know rectification? You can rectify. You may ruin one school year and then you spend another year studying hard and you fix it. It will still have an impact on your life, but you can fix it. So any mistake you do, usually, most likely you can fix it. But when it comes to the life to come, there's no such thing. No such thing. Once we leave, once our soul departs our body, the very first request that we will make is Rabbi irji'un. Our Lord, my Lord and Master, please allow me to return. لَعَلِّي أَعْمَلُ صَالِحًا فِي مَا تَرَكْتُ. Perhaps this time I will do good. I will do good in that which I have left behind. And then Allah says in the Qur'an that it will be said to them, Kalla. No. No. Too late. Too late. And how many people are living the life until it's too late? And the problem is, once it's too late, you cannot communicate back with the people on earth to tell them that it's too late. Because if we were sincere and we had the ability and one of us died and realized that he had made the wrong choices, the first thing you want to do is communicate back with the people, your friends. Hey, be careful, man. I'm testing it myself now. Things are no good here. But no one can connect with anyone who's alive. So, when we go out on our own. So I'm addressing here every human being. We are no different. We may differ in our appearance and our size and so many other things pertaining to the variation, and that's one of the signs of Allah. That we came from two parents and then we became so diverse. It's amazing. It's really amazing. But at the core of it, we are the same. The emotions, the needs, the feelings are the same. Muslim, Christian, Jew, atheist, Hindu, Buddhist, we are the same. We have the same needs. And our hearts, they yearn for the same things. But some of us choose to seek that which will fix our heart problems, that which will cure the diseases of the heart, and some just ignore and turn away, say it's okay, I don't want to worry about it. If I think too much about this, I'm going to become religious. And being religious is not cool nowadays, you know? Being religious and cool almost don't go in the same sentence. Like, if you're religious, you're automatically lame. And if you are away from religion and righteousness, you're automatically cool. According to who though? I mean, I would like to meet that person who came up with this idea to prove to him that he is wrong. It's the other way around, in fact. Because as we were mentioning in the sermon, the cool one is the one who's chilling in Jannah. That's the cool person. Once you go to paradise and you're chilling in paradise, you are really cool. And if one of us winds up in the hellfire, trust me, there's nothing cool in there. So we can be cool for 50 years and then we'll be hot forever. And not the good hot. Because nowadays English, each word has like exactly the two opposite meanings. You know, as what was the name was mentioning. Sick, huh? That sick or that sick could mean both. And dope can mean both. Huh? Dope and dope. Anyways, maybe you don't know the other dope, which is good. And then the rest of the words. So the objective of life, too busy in school, trying to achieve and get that degree. But what about the more important thing? No one is telling you to slack off in your studies and become a bum and quit school and just live in a tent somewhere out there in the mountains waiting for the day of judgment. No Muslim will tell you that, I hope. We're just saying, let us prioritize. Let us fulfill the objective of life. Because once we fulfill it, we can see the reflection of that in our own life. This is not something that someone can tell you about. This is something you will have to experience to see the difference between knowing where you're going versus not knowing where you're going. And I can only speak from personal experience. I've been on both sides of the coin. I was on that other side of the coin. Just like our brother Yusuf Chambers last night. And like many others from among the people on campus and from outside, people that you see on YouTube all over the place. How many people experience both? Do you think all of them are liars conspiring together? We're like a network of people working together to put out the same lie? No. Many of them were never met before. But look at the relationship, look at the connection and the stories. That everyone at some point was following his desires, doing what he liked, and it was hell. It was hell on earth. It was misery. It was depression. It was anxiety. Even though outwardly we were pretending to be totally fine. In front of people, we were totally fine. Inside, it was something else. Many people are experiencing this right now. No direction in life. Confusion. Chaos. Because there's no objective that has been fulfilled yet. Once you start working on that, things will fall in place. It's an amazing thing. Because once you are now on good terms with the Creator, He will sort everything out for you. That's why. Prior to that, you're left on your own. Therefore, our Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, used to make supplication to Allah saying, وَلَا تَكِلْنِي إِلَى نَفْسِي طَرْفَةَ عَيْنٍ. Don't leave me to rely upon myself, not even the blink of an eye. Because if you were to rely on yourself, the blink of an eye, you cannot control the good and the bad which will come to you. So there's complete reliance upon Allah. Once you fix the objective of life, you don't have to worry about anything else. Not financially, not socially, not relationship with people. Everything will come into place. Yes, there are meant to be hardships in life and obstacles and humps that you have to get over, because it's not going to be smooth sailing from now until you die. That's for sure. But at least you have the basic tools to be able to get over these obstacles. Which leads us to the second point that is very much relevant. When one of us becomes a Muslim, then that person has the means to attain happiness. And I would like to ask, I mean, it could be a rhetorical question, but let's make it a real question. Is there anyone here who doesn't like to be happy? Raise your foot. Because you will stand out for sure. Anyone here enjoys misery? He just loves to be miserable and crying all day. Anyone? I mean, of course, people who love each other, you know, they may say, yeah, it's fun, you know. But in reality, it's not fun. Because at some point in time, you become silly. And love is blind. People that are fascinated with each other to the extent that they no longer understand, and they go against their whole families and against the whole society and against everything in the world for that lover. And that lover has another lover. You only find out later, oh, how could you? How could you betray me? Well, you were my girlfriend. There were other girlfriends. That's what happens when you're not in wedlock. That's why when you are within wedlock, you can retaliate. Now, when you find out that your husband is cheating on you, now you have a family to back you up, you have a society that knows that you're married, you can get your rights, your children can get their rights, there's a procedure now which you can follow. But before that, he can just basically say, I don't care. None of my business. Not interested. Pregnant, you're not pregnant, irrelevant to him. Take care of the child on your own. No one told you to be with me. I mean, men can be jerks like that. Right? Seriously. How did we get here? It always happens. Once you discuss love and stuff, you just get off track. Anyways, so yeah, we were saying happiness, right? Everybody wants to be happy. Some people were asleep, they just woke up. I'm glad I made that joke. I saw you, Adil. Anyways, burn him out. He's my buddy from back in Jeddah, so I have to pick on him more than anybody else. So yeah, happiness, everybody wants happiness, but then define happiness. Some people say that happiness in meditation, others say happiness by being buff and muscular, right? And everybody has his own definition of happiness. And the truth of the matter is, yes, happiness actually manifests in so many different ways. There are spiritual ways to attain happiness. There are practical ways to attain happiness, right? And the only person who can actually utilize all of the available means to attain happiness is the believer. The believer. He has the practical means and the spiritual means, and the spiritual means are the most difficult to attain. Because the other form of happiness is not really firm. It's very inconsistent. It really depends on other circumstances, other factors that affect it. But the spiritual one that's inside of you, no one can control that. Physically, you may find happiness by working out, then you injure yourself and it's over. It could be such an injury that you can never work out again afterwards. So now you have a gap. That thing which was giving you and feeding you happiness has been terminated. What are you going to do? And the list goes on. But spiritual happiness, that's something else. This is why the Prophet ﷺ said, our messenger, peace be upon him, said, amazing, wondrous is the affair of the believer. It's something amazing, the believer. Why? He said all of his affair is good. If something good happens to him, he is thankful and that is good for him. And if something bad happens to him, he is patient and that is good for him. And so when you believe this, imagine you as a human being, let's say you're a non-Muslim, and part of your belief system was, because I'm a believer, it doesn't matter what comes to me. If good comes to me or bad comes to me, it's all good for me. Wouldn't that be awesome? Seriously. Wherein it doesn't matter now whether it is good or bad. Why? Because that good or bad is relevant. What appears to be good can actually be bad. And what appears to be bad can actually be good. True or not true? I mean, people say this, it's an old joke, and maybe the time is tough, and as we were saying earlier, we ask Allah Azza wa Jal to protect and bring back all the passengers on the flight who have been gone. But that is an old story of a person who wanted to catch a flight, and he made all the effort, and he was driving fast to the airport, and last second thing, and then when he made it, it was too late. And he started fighting with the people, and please, this business trip, and if I miss the flight, my career will be over, blah, 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 long story. And they told him, sorry, too late, my friend. And then he had to go back home. He went back home, turned on the television, and they said that plane crashed, everybody on board died. Then he was celebrating, he couldn't believe how this was good. This was actually good for him, but initially it appeared to be bad. And vice versa. So when you're a believer, you have this peace of mind, and that is the key to happiness right there. So if something bad happens to me, maybe it's a sin I committed, and then God is making me pay for it now, so I don't have to be responsible for it on the Day of Judgment. That's great news. Because I can handle it now, but I don't want to deal with it then. You see, so it's good for the believer. Furthermore, if a person wanted to attain happiness, then being a believer, as believers we're taught and instructed by the Prophet ﷺ with the following. He said, "Unzuru ila man huwa asfala minkum." Look at those who are below you or beneath you, not in height. Huh? Because maybe half of the brothers after the lecture will tell me, yes, how can I help you? وَلَا تَنْظُرُوا إِلَى مَنْ هُوَ فَوْقَكُمْ. And don't look at the one who is above you. Again, not in height. فَإِنَّهُ أَجْدَرُ أَلَّا تَزْدَرُوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ عَلَيْكُمْ. What is intended by the hadith is, look at those who are less fortunate, and do not look at those who are more fortunate, because this is more likely that you will not belittle the favor of Allah upon you. So as a believer, you're instructed, when you see someone who's got more than you, don't bother. Don't be envious. Don't be jealous. Don't hate. Right? People hate. And that is among the main. Can a hater be happy? Huh? No way. He's always hating. Sitting there in the corner. Look at that guy over there, man. When did he get those shoes? What about that one over there? Then everybody got money. That's a new phone you have? He can never be happy. Always hating on people what they got. But the happy person, you know, he sees someone with a nicer phone, and then he sees someone without a phone, he says, hey, at least I got a phone. And once you have this attitude, you won't be bothered by what other people have that you don't have. And that is an Islamic way of thinking. If we were to apply it, really, on daily basis, you will never mind. You will never mind those who are above you. You don't even see them. So you don't have to hate and be jealous and envious. And you look at those who are less fortunate, so you say, Alhamdulillah, Allah gave me so many things that other people don't have. And that is among the means to attain happiness. Also, among the means to attain happiness is the narration from the Prophet, peace be upon him, wherein he said, speaking to the spouses, let not a believing man belittle or hate his believing wife. If he dislikes a quality or a trait which she has, he will surely find something else which is pleasing to him. And that is another amazing hadith for the spouses. How many spouses do we have here? Great. I'm speaking to the wrong crowd. That's one of the worst things you do in da'wah, by the way. Right? When your speech is irrelevant to the audience. So one time there was a wedding, right? And they brought a sheikh. They said, yeah, sheikh, you know, one Muslim scholar. They said, give a talk to the audience, you know, the bride and the groom. Give them something to encourage them in their early marital life. So he began by lecture by saying, so if he divorces her, then she is not permissible for him. Ya sheikh. He quoted an ayah from the Qur'an about the rulings of divorce. But they haven't even got married yet. That was the wise sheikh, you know. The lecture is irrelevant to the audience. So, nevertheless, inshallah, when you do get married, then you can apply this hadith and be happy. Which is, if your spouse has something that you don't like, big deal. Don't get stuck on it, which is what we usually do. Rather, ignore it and look for something else that will be pleasing to you. Okay? So, you know, it just so may happen that, you know, when that young lady cooks, you know, it just doesn't work. You know, the only thing she can do properly is boil eggs. And even those sometimes come out, you know, busted. So, khalas. Just realize that it's meant for you to be slim for the rest of your life. And alhamdulillah, it's good news. Thank you for helping me, you know, stay in shape. Huh? Don't worry about cooking. I'll just live off energy bars and life is good. So, see how you can be positive? Rather than every day telling her, you don't know how to cook, you don't know how to cook, I'm going to bring my mom to teach you how to cook. Yeah, you say this to your wife and see what happens. You won't see the next day usually. So the point being is, these are some of the means to attain happiness which are automatically granted to you if you're a believer. And of course there's a huge list actually, but like I said, the time does not allow me to elaborate. But the last of which in regards to happiness specifically is, among the means to attain happiness is righteous deeds. Righteous deeds. Doing good will bring about happiness. Evidence, the statement of Allah in the Qur'an. من عمل صالحا من ذكر أو أنثى وهو مؤمن فلنحيينه حياة طيبة. This is a promise from our Creator. Whosoever does righteous deeds, and the Qur'an says, whether male or female, for those who are always trying to claim that there's some sort of, you know, oppression on the part of men towards women, or vice versa. Whether male or female, if you believe properly and you do righteous deeds, then Allah is promising you a good life. A pleasing life. A satisfactory life. It's a promise from God. Now the issue is if we don't trust God. And if we don't trust God, who in the world are you going to trust? If God is not worthy of your trust, are you going to trust someone else who often may betray? So this is a promise from our Creator. And only those who do these two things can tell you that this is real. If a person is an outsider, he will never understand, or she will never understand. What do you mean you mean you pray 5 times a day? You have to wake up at 5:30 in the morning when everybody's relaxing to go to the masjid to pray, and you're telling me this is a good life? I get to stay in bed and hug the pillow for a few more hours, and you're living a good life? You have to fast a whole month. In Ramadan, you don't eat, you don't drink from sunrise to sunset. Women have to cover themselves. All of these restrictions, and then you're telling me you're living a good life? Get out of here. You're not living a good life, you're suffering. But until you are in their shoes, you will not understand. You will not understand. Because these acts of worship bring about comfort to the heart. And the whole thing revolves around the heart, not the physical body. The comfort and the happiness is in the heart. And that can only be attained by believing in Allah and doing good. And that doing good is very broad. That includes your parents, it includes your neighbors, it includes your colleagues, it includes your classmates, it includes so many, the creatures on campus, non-humans, the animal kingdom, dogs again, the dog jokes. All of them are included. Any good which you do will bring a certain type of comfort to the heart. So the more the merrier, as they say. The more one does, the happier one becomes. If you don't believe me, fine. Try it. Try it, and if it fails, then we can have a discussion as to why it failed. Because it never fails really, because it's the promise of Allah, and Allah does not betray the promise. The third benefit which you can attain by being a Muslim is getting all of your previous sins forgiven. That's cool. So if you're a Muslim already, what I mean by becoming a Muslim is repentance. Turning away from our old ways, which we spoke about today in the khutbah. Turning away from these old ways, the no good ways. If we were to leave them alone, then we have been promised by Allah in more than one surah. Like in Surah Al-Furqan. Right? أُولَٰئِكَ يُبَدِّلُ اللَّهُ سَيِّئَاتِهِمْ حَسَنَاتٍ. Verily, those people who abandon their old ways, Allah will replace their bad deeds with good deeds. The sins which we have been accumulating since the age of maybe 14 or 15 or whenever we hit puberty. Until now, let's say 22, 23 years old. That's 8 years of calamities that most people don't know about. If we were to be Muslims, then they will be erased from our book of deeds. On the day of judgment, we won't even see them. That's why in the authentic tradition, it says that on the day of judgment, Allah will bring the believer close to Him. And then He will hide him, cover him with a particular cover that shades him and shields him from everybody else on the day of judgment. From all mankind that will be gathered. And Allah will say to this person, you did such and such on such and such day. And He will remind him of all the sins he committed. And that person will say, yes, I admit, I confess. Then Allah will say to this person, I kept them away from the people in your life, and I shall forgive you in regards to them today. And then he will be set free as if nothing happened. No one will ever know, not in this life, nor in the life to come. That's a big deal. And if you're a non-Muslim, then it depends. Whether you are a Jew or a Christian, as one category of people, or you are from among other religions. That's another category. If you are from the Jews and the Christians, then the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ in an authentic tradition in Sahih Muslim said that there would be 3 types of people who would be given double the reward. double the reward. And among them is a person from the people of the book, meaning the Jew or the Christian, who embrace Islam. Reason being, they believed in their prophet, and then they accepted the Prophet Muhammad as the final messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So they'll be given double the reward. That's already a bonus for them. As for the person who comes from a totally different religion, then they start from scratch. No sins and a new life to lead. However, for the first time, they will be going in the right direction. Prior to Islam, the way we perceive it, Islamically, the human being is driving on the wrong side of the road, on the freeway. You're like going on the freeway, all the traffic's coming this way, and you're going against them, and you got hundreds of thousands of cars. Very soon, one may crash. And no assistance, no helpers, no police, no light for you to signal, nothing. You're totally deserted. And once you embrace the faith, and you make that bold, courageous move, then it is as if you made a U-turn, and for the first time you're going in the right direction with the flow of the traffic. However, you need to move. You can't just make a U-turn and stop in the middle of the road, you'll be run over. As a Muslim, these righteous deeds will move your vehicle for you. And then you have multitudes of brothers and sisters in faith who will give you a push when you need one, or will give you gas when you need some, or will tow your car if it breaks down. They will support you at the time of need. But it is our own mission to make it to the destination, till the end of the line. Otherwise, we continue to go in the wrong direction. And a person is yet to prove that it is not the wrong direction. Very difficult to prove. I believe at least in this week, we have presented so many evidences that cannot be really dealt with. They're just too powerful to be rejected. Honestly, let's be sincere with ourselves. How many examples, how many signs, how many proofs, how many evidences from so many different people in so many different ways, back to back on daily basis. Do you really think all these people in the Western world, become Muslim because they became lunatics or something? We do understand that being a Muslim in a Western country is much more difficult than being a Muslim in a Muslim country. Especially for the female gender, where her hijab and her niqab are seen as a crime against feminism, and that's something that she shouldn't do, and so on and so forth. Yet we find that more women enter into Islam than men. In the hundreds. Are these people crazy? No, they're not crazy. No one would make the sacrifice unless they saw the light. Because we like it easy. Human beings like it easy. You would not want to make things difficult upon yourself. It's just like you have a class. You have two professors teaching the same class, the same subject. And one of them is known for being tough. However, students who finish the class with him turn out to be top-notch. And there's another one who's easygoing. He doesn't care if you show up or if you're absent. He doesn't care whether you do your homework or not. He just doesn't care. Why would you choose the more difficult one? Naturally, you would say, take the easy one. I take it easy too. But sometimes you find yourself saying, no, I know that other guy's tough, but I will reap the benefit down the line. So you make that difficult choice because of the benefit which you see coming your way. And this is the same reason why these people become Muslim. Because they can see that. They can see that there's a benefit down the line. At least in regards to the life to come, if not this life. They're not crazy. In fact, they're very intelligent. Also, among the benefits of becoming a Muslim is achieving God's love. One may say, who cares, you know? Like, okay, if I know that like another person loves me, then at least that person can tell me that he loves me. And so I see there's a benefit in knowing that, you know, someone loves me. But if God loves me, this is something I can never really find out, right? No one's going to receive a special notification informing him that God loves him. Let's just agree to that. So it's something that you can never really prove or disprove. So one may say, what's the benefit in attaining God's love? And the simple answer is, this is the most amazing achievement you can ever achieve in your life. This, in comparison to anything else you have done, makes that thing which you have done of zero value, because it will perish. It will perish. However, Allah's love or God's love to you will never perish. And how important is that? Allah's love will accompany you in this world. It will accompany you when you put in your grave. It will accompany you whilst you are in your grave. It will accompany you on the day of resurrection. And it will accompany you after you admitted to paradise and saved from the hellfire. That's what it will do. Anything else that you may achieve will not even make it to the grave. And even if they put it in the grave with you, you won't be able to benefit from it. That's why when they used to bury the pharaohs, they would put vegetables and fruits and stuff, just in case he woke up and wanted a banana. And sure enough, they came, you know, sometime later and saw that the banana was just rotten. He didn't eat any bananas, because he was a corpse, he was dead. Your degree, the PhD, even if they put it at your grave, what is it going to do? Are you going to use it to brag and show off amongst the dead? Is it going to add any value? Absolutely not. So really the most fundamental thing without a doubt is attaining God's love. And Allah said in the Qur'an, قُلْ إِن كُنْتُمْ تُحِبُّونَ اللَّهِ فَاتَّبِعُونِي يُحْبِبْكُمُ اللَّهُ وَيَغْفِرْ لَكُمْ ذُنُوبَكُمْ. This verse was revealed as Hassan al-Basri rahimahullah said, as ayatul tahaddi. This was the challenging verse. Why is it a challenging verse? Why is it a challenge from our Creator? Because many people came forth and said, I love God. And anyone who believes in God or in a God, if you were to ask him, do you love God? He will say, for sure. Because he knows if he were to say, I don't, he would be committing blasphemy and therefore become a disbeliever. How are you going to believe in a God which you hate? So everyone on earth who believes in God, exception would be the agnostics and the atheists and so on and so forth, will tell you, I love God. Now that's an interesting claim. It's an interesting claim to make that needs verification. It needs verification. And so when people made this claim, Allah revealed this ayah to both Muslims and non-Muslims. Say, oh Muhammad, to these people around you until the end of time, because our job is to convey that. Say to them, if you truly love God, then follow me, the Prophet Muhammad. Then Allah will love you. First you're trying to prove that you love Allah, and the end result is that Allah will love you, provided that you follow the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Because if we don't, then it's only a claim. And you know, talk is cheap. They say that a young boy came to his mother and said, Mom, I love you. She said, honey, I love you too. Can you do me a favor and pass me this tissue from over there? He says, no, I can't. I'm tired. Okay, no problem. Half an hour later he comes and says, hey, Mom, I love you very much. Says, I love you too, honey. Can you help me clean this kitchen? could you ask me that? I'm playing right now. Alrighty then. Another hour goes by and he runs back. Hey mom, I love you very much. More than you can ever imagine. It's just getting better. I tell you what, can you pass me a glass of water? I'm thirsty. No mom. Get your own water. Shh. The fourth time he comes around, says, Mom, she says, be quiet. Don't tell me that you love me, because you're bluffing. You're better off simply doing what I'm telling you, and that would prove your love. And that is what I'm looking for. Verify your love by doing the simple things I'm asking you to do. I mean, it's not labor work. It's not like she's taking advantage of him. Asking him for simple things that any child is able to execute. She said, don't tell me that you love me, show me that you love me. And this is the same thing that we're required to do. Everybody loves God, really? Let's prove it. We love God and we disobey Him. We love God and we don't remember Him. We love God and we turn away from Him. We love God and we worship others with Him. We love God and we warn against Him. And the list goes on. What kind of love is this? This is an amazing kind of love. It's not love. So how do we prove our love? By following the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Now I know for the non-Muslims that's just tough, you know. Like, why would I have to follow a man? It sounded like amen. Huh? Why would I have to follow a man in order to prove my love to God? Why would God make me follow some person who lived in the Arabian Peninsula 1400 years ago in the desert, whom I've never met, and all of a sudden my requirement now is to follow him in order to prove that I love God? That's just too much. No, it's not. That's how it's always been. And that's how it will always be. Because it's on God's terms, not ours. And that's where we fail in really proving that we love God. We love God, but we just don't like His choices. How is that? Yeah, God is good, but you know, this whole thing about Islam, not really digging it. You know, it's just too much. Or I don't think it's from God. But we showed you hundreds of evidence. Yeah, I know, but I don't agree, but thank you. Okay. What do you mean you don't agree, but thank you? I mean, come on, we're here to discuss these issues. Just right there in everybody's face. Let's be real. Because that's not really love. True love means you submit to God's choices. Why? Because God knows better. If you don't like God's choices, I'll give you a very cool alternative. I'm sure you would like it. Go create your own heavens and earth. Make a new universe and make a planet, call it Earth 2. So you don't want to copy Earth. Earth 2. And then create your own mankind, and you be the God. And then you tell them, okay, listen, I have news for you. You don't have to follow Muhammad. Okay? When you're done, give me a call. I'll give you my number after the lecture. I would like to visit your universe and check it out. Maybe I would like to join the clan. But you'll say, what are you talking about? I cannot create heavens and earth. I can't even create a hair. I can't even create an ant. Say, exactly my point. In fact, you can't even multiply 3 numbers by 3 numbers. 723 times 845. Give me an answer now. Right. Pull out your calculator. Oh, human being, you're so intelligent. After 20 years of studies, 3 digits by 3 digits, you're still thinking about it. Huh? That's because this is how deficient we are, really. And then we have the audacity after all to say, oh God, by the way, this is just no good. No, I don't want to believe in a final messenger. I'm just cool with the which happened 2,000 years ago. That's sufficient update for me. I don't need any more updates for my software. Well, your software is not going to work. There are patches that you need to install, otherwise it won't open. Trust me. So if you truly believe in a God and you love Him, take the time to verify and investigate and confirm that he actually sent a final messenger with a final testament. And when you prove it to be wrong, then keep your choices. That's totally fine. We all understand and we will all be quiet forever and ever. But to just brush it off without that investigation, that's sad. That is sad. So we would want to attain the love of Allah. If you Muslim practice Islam, you will attain the love of Allah. If you attain the love of Allah, you have absolutely nothing to worry about, and you shouldn't care whether people love you or not. Really. But the good news is that if Allah loves you, then He will make the righteous people love you. So you don't have to worry much. It will just come on its own. But where's the effort that we're exerting? Last but not least, because I'm like really sweaty, is the AC on? Is attaining paradise. Now paradise, do we have any non-Muslims here? Please raise your hands. Non-Muslims. Uno, dos. Again, I'm using the few words I know from other languages, huh? Only 2, 3, 4. No, nothing major. No problem. When you hear paradise, can you give me a brief answer? What do you think paradise is? If you're shy, then I'm coffee. Never mind. If you're shy is tea, by the way, in Arabic. If you're shy, then I don't expect you to answer. My favorite joke ever. This one and the other one is, whoever gives me the right answer, I will give him nothing. And they're like, huh? Nothing? Oh, never mind. Anyways, if you're too shy, you don't have to answer. But if you're brave, that's fine. When you hear Muslims talk about paradise, heaven, what do you think we're talking about? It's like a swimming pool or something, and there's people hanging around the swimming pool, you know, and whatever. I'm not going to be too figurative in my description, because the swimming pool and stuff, you know, just don't go together right now. I just realized that's not the best example. Yeah? Can anyone give me an answer, or should I just do it on my own? I figured. No answer? No idea what paradise is like in the mind of a Muslim. We have so many Muslims here, mashallah, tabarakallah. Have you ever thought, what do they think about paradise, or do you think our own perception of paradise, what is it like? Or you just don't care? Just fine. Did you raise your hand earlier? No? Well, I'll tell you, paradise has been described in hundreds of verses in the Qur'an. And therefore I invite you to read the Qur'an, to read the description. But one narration from our Prophet is the most amazing when it comes to description. Meaning, we will find in the Qur'an verses which speak about rivers flowing beneath the people. It will speak about gardens. It will speak about, trees. It will speak about, entertainment in terms of spouses, right? The Quran speaks about all of that. And that should apply both for males and females. And it speaks about eternal bliss and happiness and so on and so forth. But when we hear these things, like if someone were to dream about like this bombshell spouse, right? Like if you just imagine the most beautiful woman on earth, and that woman was, in love with you, right? Dream on. It's not happening. But that's fine. Because if it doesn't happen now, you will get it later. The women of paradise, for example, when it comes to the men, are something else. And the men in paradise, when it comes to the women, are something else. Not like we are today. You know what I mean? You play for half an hour and you stink for 3 days. None of that stuff. No blowing nose and no going to the bathroom and no not having to brush your teeth and stinky breath. All that nasty stuff which we have to deal with in this world will not exist in the life to come. But still, all of this falls under what is imaginable. You can still imagine. When I think of gardens and rivers, I can imagine, I can visualize a river flowing that is beautiful and so on and so forth. But that's not going to do the job. What will do the job is the Prophet's statement that Allah says in a Hadith Qudsi, that I have prepared for my righteous servants, for the believers, in paradise, that is, what no eye has ever seen, and no ear has ever heard, and that which has never come across a human's mind. In paradise are things which you have never seen. Have you ever been to a beautiful country? Malaysia is a beautiful country, and you saw greenery and you saw trees and you're like, wow, this is just so beautiful, so serene, you just want to stay there. Or you go to certain 5-star hotels and you're just mesmerized with the beauty and the architecture and so on and so forth. Or you see this Ferrari or Lamborghini or some crazy looking car and you're just like, wow, look at the rims, look at the wheels, look at this stuff, it's just too much. Right? The most beautiful thing you have seen. What is in paradise? You've never seen it. It's greater than that. And no ear has ever heard. That has to do again with all the things which you hear that you think bring about peace of mind and tranquility. People like to listen to certain things to relax, or certain things to get pumped up, and certain things for whatever reasons. No, but that is nothing. The ultimate beauty of hearing will be in the life to come. And then what no human being has ever imagined. That's why. That means if you were to stay from now until you die, can you imagine? From this moment until you die, you were constantly imagining. You left school, you left your spouse, which you don't have yet, you left your parents, you left everything, and you said, I'm just going to sit down here, relax, have a cup of tea next to me, and from now until I die, I would like to imagine paradise. Then the hadith tells you that you will not be able to do so. You can imagine things that are more beautiful than what you've seen with your own eyes. What is in paradise is even superior to that. Now, our Creator created all of us in this world. And He told us explicitly that I have put you here to test you. I have put you here to test you. And I've allowed multitudes of religions and multitudes of ideologies and multitudes of ways of thinking. I've allowed a lot of diversity. But I only have one way that is pleasing to me. So if you collect yourself and focus and do that which I want, then I promise you, after you die, that you will never have to suffer again. This is really the whole religion of Islam in 2 sentences. You would never have to worry again, never have to suffer again, never have to struggle again. Which is what we aspire to. Because we're sick and tired of suffering, we're sick and tired of being sad, we're sick and tired of not having enough when we need more, we're sick and tired of seeing people dying, people fighting. All of these things in the world are sickening. The capitalization and all the things that are happening against the oppression of human beings by other human beings, acts of terrorism in the name of Islam or in the name of other religions, whatever it may be, it's just sickening. And we're tired of it. But we will only be relieved completely in paradise. So that divides us into 2 types of people. Successful and unsuccessful. The successful one is the one who figures out this very basic puzzle. That is almost 3 pieces. The puzzle is 3 pieces and each one is this big. Only if you're blind, you won't be able to put it together. You figure it out and you're good to go. And the unsuccessful one is the one who sees the puzzle and he throws one piece away. Or he uses it to eat on it. Or he gives it to his friend as a gift. Or he throws it in the trash. Or he does something so silly that will prevent him from putting together this very basic puzzle. And then later he starts crying, help, help, can someone give me this piece? No. You had 3 pieces, buddy, and you threw it in the trash. Go get it from the trash. He goes to get it from the trash. The trash man came and took the dumpster. Can't get it anymore. Then he's upset. We went into the trash, huh? That's his own fault. It's not our fault. It's not your fault. You can feel bad for him, but that's as simple as that. 3 pieces to the puzzle of life. So I'm saying here, where is it? Right there. Be Muslim. Muslim, be Muslim. Non-Muslim, be Muslim. Because only then you will figure out this puzzle. And the beautiful thing about it is, you can maintain technically the same lifestyle with some modification. For sure. You can still live as you live today, but you will include certain acts of worship which you before did not do, and you will look after yourself in a way which before you did not care, and you will have certain relationship with other human beings which before you did not have. There will be some changes in your life which are very normal. But most importantly, you'll be able to achieve all of the things which I had mentioned earlier in the lecture. So I ask Allah Azza wa Jal, through His beautiful names and perfect attributes, to make these reminders a source of benefit and guidance for all of us, both the Muslims and the non-Muslims. And I thank you again for having me for the 3rd year in a row. And every year I say they will not bring me again, and then I find myself here again. So I thank you for at least trusting me to this point, that you continue to bring me over. And I thank you for those who don't like me for not having shot me yet. I do appreciate being alive until the moment. And I apologize if I've ever said anything that hurt anyone's feelings, especially the brothers who we play sports with. I'm a big trash talker, because you know, small people have this, you know, complex, you know, so you talk trash to the person and you kind of defeat him mentally. So I talk a lot of trash, don't get offended. You know, I love you all for the sake of Allah. You know, I'm just a wild guy. So thank you very much. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask.
Okay, Assalamu alaikum. Brothers and sisters, Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. We can open the floor for questions, not an issue. Yes. What is the question to the Sheikh on the mic? Okay, from the ladies' side.
Yes, sir.
Brothers.
Go on, sir.
Okay, yes, sir. I'm a Muslim. I forget to pray. What do you advise me?
Pray. Next. Well, I mean, of course, that is the short answer. There's, you know, you remember they tell you in English there's a short answer and a long answer? That was the short answer. The long answer is, why are you forgetting prayer? That's technically impossible. Unless we have been preoccupied by so many other things that are materialistic to the point that we forget about prayer. But in reality, the prayer, I mean, our schedule as Muslims on a daily basis should revolve around the prayer. You always have prayer in the back of your mind, that at this time I'm going to have prayer, and I have from this time to this time. So it's really impossible unless we are very heedless. It happens sometimes, like if you, occasionally forget the prayer, that's fine. But if it's something that you do habitually, and you don't have a disease of Alzheimer's or something that makes you forget all the time, then it's probably some sort of heedlessness or sins that are preventing us from remembering Salah. But the point being is, prioritize and give prayer its due right. Make sure that you pray on time and avoid anything which will distract you from the Salah. Sometimes it could be your best friends, unfortunately. At the very critical moment of Salah, all kinds of ideas pop up. And then we say, okay, we'll do this first and that first, and then we miss the prayer. So be careful of other distractions from around you.
Jazakallah khair. I was born a Muslim, but due to some issues I had with my life, I became an atheist, but not for long. Does this mean that all the deeds I committed before I apostatized are gone? Is there any way to redeem myself?
Yes. Actually, the correct position in regards to this issue is if someone were to be a Muslim and then they did a lot of good and then they abandoned Islam and did something else, whatever it may be, Christianity, atheism, or just whatever, and then they return to Islam, that they will be able to connect before with after. And whatever was in between will just disappear. So you will not miss out on your previous good deeds, inshallah. But don't make it a habit to go in and out. Okay? Just stay in there and enjoy life.
How do I overcome ego problem?
Let someone beat you up on campus in front of everyone. You will have no ego for the rest of your life. Nah, that's not good. No, I'm just joking. Actually, how can you? Well, I mean, really, if you want me to be mean, I mean, you're a sperm. That's what you are. Whoever you are who has ego, you came from a sperm, man. That's pretty nasty. And that's what you are now. You're just a big sperm. And what are you going to be so egotistic about? You just remember where you came from. Sometimes I'm bald. Almost every day, actually.
That's why he's traveling tomorrow, alhamdulillah. How to differentiate between Islam and culture? Do all ibadah that are related to specific culture that the Prophet ﷺ does not do will lead us astray?
Yeah, well, I mean, culture is a part of Islam. Islam acknowledges culture, provided that that culture does not conflict with Islam. So when Allah Azza wa Jalla said to the Prophet ﷺ, وَأْمُرْ بِالْعُرْفِ, meaning maintain and keep that which is known to be fine culturally. Once we reach a point where that culture will conflict with the Islamic teachings, then we are forced to favor Islam over our culture. Of course, I can give many examples, but it may really take a long time. But just basically, in other words, what I'm trying to say is, if you try to worship your Creator in a manner which your culture had suggested, but you don't find any source or reference or evidence for that from the Qur'an and the Sunnah, then that act of worship in essence is an innovation. And innovations in our religion are not accepted by our Creator. Why? He already gave us the way, the method in which He wants to be worshipped, and therefore any other way which is not the way of the Prophet Muhammad is ineffective. So that's really what it is. If the culture, however, is in agreement with the Islamic teachings, but it has a flavor to it, the cultural flavor, no issue. But very often we find that the culture and the religion are like at odds. At odds. So for example, in some cultures, the way in which the sister covers herself conflicts with the Islamic instructions of covering herself. Then we say, sister, in Islam, you have to choose what the Qur'an and the Sunnah stipulate, not what the culture stipulates, because the culture will not benefit you on the Day of Judgment when you stand before Allah. But following the Qur'an and the Sunnah would. That's an essay.
Okay, this
I
is
can correct it.
for the brothers and sisters to know if we get a question that is related to Malaysia and what's happening in Malaysia, we're not going to address it. The Sheikh, he's not living in Malaysia, so better off you want to ask such questions.
I'm not living in Malaysia?
You're not. What if me and my boyfriend only speak about how to become better Muslims? Why can't we? Next. Why can't we be together? What's the proof that premixing is not acceptable in Islam?
Wow. It's always cute when you get these questions, yeah? I think it was in India once when someone asked me a similar question. He said, I have a girlfriend, and I know it's wrong. And it's also wrong to hurt a believer. So I'm afraid if I leave her, I'll be hurting a believer. Sheikh, wallahi. He's looking after her heart, mashallah, tabarakallah. Well, you know, why don't you just get married? I don't understand. You know, it's very simple. It's very simple. You're not blamed for liking a person. You are expected to like a person. Something's wrong with you if you don't. I mean, seriously. Like a person, fine. Then you have a channel. Not a television channel. A channel which you go through in order to fulfill this love. That one, however, is meant to protect you and that spouse from deviating from the path or falling into something that is abhorrent and sinful that will not benefit you now, nor when you meet your Creator. Simple as that. No one is going to blame you for liking a brother or a brother liking a sister. Once you find that there's this mutual attraction, then you have something called parents, where the young man goes to the father of the young woman and says, your daughter is hot and I want to get married. And of course, you know, we can see you flying out the window and landing on your face. Don't use that term hot. Just saying that, you know, I'm interested in marrying your daughter. He will tell you, fine. Huh? What are you studying? How much money do you have? You know, the typical question. And then you go on with it. Or he tells you from the beginning, no way on earth. We are from this country and you are from that country. And it's not happening. We have this among Muslims, some crazy way of thinking. We can only marry people from the same, you know, nationality, citizenship, skin color, so on and so forth. Right? Unfortunately, it's there. So if he tells you from the beginning it's not happening, at least you have a peace of mind, ya Sheikh. You go looking for someone else. Instead of agonizing yourself and the lady and going through these roller coasters, for at the end of the day you will get rejected, or you will take her and escape with her away from the family to get married, and then you will suffer for the rest of your life, really. Because now you have no family, no relatives, you're disconnected from the world. And if you end up divorcing her or her divorcing you, then we have another issue. Now you have no one. Because when you go back to your family, they're not going to be nice. They will say, we told you, especially for the sisters, we told you this man was no good. And now that he threw you out, you want to come back home? No, stay outside. So why would you do this to yourself? You like each other, get married. As for boyfriend, girlfriend, because that is not just a word. If it was just a word, who cares? But we all know that it's not just a word. So if you're talking about how to become better people, are you gonna, I don't know. Are you guys focusing? You need to stop distracting the people, man.
You're speaking on marriage now.
No, I know. I just want you to imagine, I'm not trying to, you know, show you my phone even though I work for Samsung. But just free advertisement. They don't pay me for this, by the way. I'm just loyal. But can you imagine, I just want to imagine a man speaking to someone whom he loves on the phone. And are you going to tell me that you don't have any feelings? That you both just like walls, emotionless? Pray. Unless something's wrong with you or something's wrong with her. There's no way on earth you'll be able to contain yourself without the slip of a tongue. You say something, she feels something, and I'm not going to go into the details because it's inappropriate. But let's keep it real. So sister, I mean, what are you talking about? You know, there's no way on earth that you can just talk about how to become better Muslims when you're still talking to each other every day. It's just not real. So what is the evidence? Because we were created with this natural inclination towards each other. Each man on campus has in his eyes a radar that spots any female moving object. And it doesn't stop there. He has a process that is already built in. Analysis like scan, you know, with all the numbers coming up and all this stuff, and then he has a final conclusion before you sit down. I'm telling you. So then we just have to, you cannot then be close to another woman and next to each other and have no feelings, no nothing. It's impossible, impossible. This is assuming that there's love, because you're saying that you love each other. Now some may say that we don't, care. That's another discussion. I don't want to prove that now. But the point being, I would say there's no such thing. Either you get married or you stay away until further notice. You can continue to like each other from a distance. Seriously. No one's going to blame you for the way you feel. But you will be blamed for acting upon it prematurely. Because very often, just to be honest, very often here's what happens. They love each other. And then they are rejected by the society, by the parents, by the family, whatever the reason may be. Or some other reasons that prevent that marriage from materializing. Right? Now what happens is one of them her heart remains attached to him. And he's gone. He went off and married another woman because his mother told him to do so. And you are left in the dark. What happens very often is you will long to each other after that marriage. And then you may have an extramarital relationship where you become his mistress. Or that you marry another man, but always and forever you're imagining the first man. So you're not satisfied with your new husband because you are still in love with the old boyfriend. And then your husband's right is taken away because he's not good enough for you because your heart is somewhere else. And that is the byproduct of this kind of free mixing and all these open relationships where people fall in love, cannot materialize, disasters happen afterwards. That's why Islam is strict in this regard. Yes, it's strict, but it's very easy. Strict in the sense that it closes all the doors which may lead to all of this emotionalism so that you protect yourself down the line. Strict in this sense. But it is very easy in the sense that once you like someone else, marrying them is not mission impossible. It's supposed to be like that at least. So that is really the sound and the correct observation, inshallah, in regards to this issue.
My question is, when a Muslim is trying to make that transition of becoming a better Muslim, when exactly is the best time for him to have the appearance as in the Sunnah of a Muslim, let's say the way he dresses, having a beard and the way he shaves, etc.?
Instantly. Whatever you're able to do, don't delay. Whatever is feasible and doable, act upon it, because that thing, whatever that thing is from among the good deeds that will bring you closer. It will enhance that transitional phase.
I want to also say, as in the question about the cultural issue, for example, in some cultures it's easier for someone to dress in a certain way or have a beard. In other cultures it's not, the transition will be, the appearance may have a bit of a sensitivity. Sensitivity, especially for family and stuff.
Nonsensical. How about that? Okay, so go to another culture. No, I mean you just have to evaluate your environment. Yes, it could be more difficult, as you said, in some cultures versus others. That's why I said do what you can. Do whatever is feasible and you're able to do in that particular culture, act upon it instantly. Do not procrastinate when you're able to do something. That you should do on the spot, because that will help you move towards that righteousness faster. No, there'll be no more follow-up questions, man. We'll have to talk outside. Tomorrow, after I arrive in Jeddah, inshallah. Give him the mic.
So you're saying not to be 100% forceful to the thing, and whatever you can do, try to do, and then everything can be done.
Is that English or some other language?
Phase by phase.
Yeah, I mean, gradually, yes.
Gradually.
Yeah, but not necessarily. Some people make that shift of 100% على طول. They instantly act upon everything they can, and there are things which come with time. But so who knows that? You know that. No one else knows that. That person himself knows what is feasible and what needs to be delayed until further notice.
How can I convince my parents to let me wear abaya, since wearing abaya is considered to be extreme in my country? Like, I won't get any job, I won't get any guy to marry.
I mean, what is expected of a female is to cover herself, whether it is via abaya or something else. It does not have to be necessarily a abaya as we know in certain cultures. Whatever does the job, whatever does not create a form of adornment and a source of attraction in and of itself will suffice. So you don't have to find the need that you have to wear that if you have alternatives. Now, if the alternative necessitates that you no longer properly cover yourself, then we say, okay, you fight for it until the end. But if it is not the case, then remain within that margin of flexibility. But the most important thing is that you learn what is the actual proper dress code in Islam. And that is available almost everywhere. You can find that information, what is allowed and what is not allowed. So don't restrict yourself if there's room for flexibility, provided that there's no sinfulness involved.
Where in the Qur'an does it say to cover up? Like, I see some people, they don't.
It's in Surah Al-Ahzab and it's in Surah Al-Mu'minun. And in both surah or chapters, Allah commanded the women to cover themselves. There's a variation between the usage of words and the terminology and the translation and the interpretation. It's a really broad subject which can be addressed maybe in the future. Or if you want, there's a lecture on YouTube titled, "Is this sister going to Jannah?" Is this sister going to Jannah? Type that on YouTube, watch the lecture and get the full length answer there, inshallah.
If I do not miss salah, do not drink or do bad things, why can't I go to clubs with my friends? Where is it mentioned in the Qur'an anyway that I can't go clubbing without drinking?
What are you going to do at the club? Mop the floor? No, seriously, because I used to go clubbing back in the days, and I don't know. When you're in a club, what in the world would you be doing in a club? I mean, it's just, it's like someone trying to jump into the swimming pool and says, I will not get wet. Don't ask me how. I just got skills like that. It's impossible. So once you're in that environment, and I mean, a club is a club. Unless they have like the History Channel on, or Animal Planet, and you're all watching a documentary, then we can no longer call it a club. But in the club, people be wilding out. Getting drunk and getting high and doing this and doing that and getting to know the ladies and the ladies getting to know the men. I mean, come on, you know what's up. So it's just, it's not doable. It's just not doable. You just, you're deceiving yourself by thinking you can go to a club and avoid certain prohibitions, because that whole environment in and of itself is in a place that is good or bad. That's just really the final judgment. If you know that place is bad, you just have to, keep moving.
Yeah, Sheikh, but some still go to the club and they claim that they don't drink, so they say, like, I'm not drinking, so how is it haram for me to be in the club?
Well, because there are so many things that are disallowed that are taking place in the club. So why are you in the club? First of all, we have the narration from the Prophet that the one who's in the company of where alcoholics, or where alcohol is being consumed or alcohol is being served, all of this will bring about the curse of God. Okay, when you're in that environment in and of itself. So being there, just period, while it's there is already an issue. That's number one. Number two, then how are you going to lower your gaze? As a male, with all the females that are, dressed very modestly, usually in the club, how are you going to lower your gaze and not look at them and check them out? How is that possible? And how are you going to avoid hearing certain things and so on and so forth? How are you going to avoid, it's impossible to avoid the prohibitions while in the club, because the club is a place of prohibitions. I mean, do you think isn't it ironic that they call Vegas Sin City? And it wasn't Muslims, by the way, who called Las Vegas Sin City. The non-Muslims called it Sin City because that's where sins happen. Because these people understand deep within gambling and all this is a form of sin. Putting all of the savings of your life at stake so that you and your family become bums afterwards, so you can have some fun in Vegas, is a sin ultimately. Because you're jeopardizing, your life and the life of others. And the same happens with drinking. I mean, you may enjoy that beer or that vodka or that tequila or whatever, but then as soon as you go out on the street and now you have to drive or you have to ride your bike back home, I mean, you're really, really risking your life and even worse, the life of others. How could that be any good for anyone? So this is the environment of the club. You cannot expect any goodness to come from there. So you are not allowed as a Muslim to go there. End of story. Come play basketball, ya ammi. We've been begging y'all for the last 7 days. Let's go play sports. If you really want to, enjoy yourself, we have so many lawful alternatives. But because not good players are not showing up, we're having to play with losers. Dude will be dribbling for 25 minutes, then he makes it under the basket and shoots it outside. We were looking for the good players, no one showed up. Because maybe they were clubbing. So, you have other things you can do that are fun. We had a lot of fun. Right? 5-0. At least I had fun.
I don't know why I smoke. Does it make me a bad Muslim?
Huh? I don't know.
Why I smoke? Does it make me a bad Muslim?
It makes you a smoking Muslim. No, I wouldn't say bad as in, you're just totally bad, but you would have an issue, like I have an issue, like everyone who does some sort of sin that is not necessarily smoking has an issue. So no, you cannot say smoking, a person who smokes is a bad person, but we say that's a bad habit. It's a bad habit. Now, the interesting part of the question is that you don't know why you smoke. That's impossible. Can you imagine? Someone's like, oh, look. Why? I don't know why. Do you know why? Can you help me know why? Come on, what do you mean you don't know why you're smoking? I'll tell you why you smoke. Because you want to look cool. Most people want to smoke because they want to look cool. Because smoking a cigarette is just this, they show you this Marlboro guy, on the cowboy who died, by the way, from smoking. And that's it. The perception is, whether you look at all the advertisement of cigarettes, whether it was Kent or what was that other company, the one with the mint flavor? Huh? I used to smoke it back in the day. Anyways, they always show you these people on a yacht, on out in the sea. All of them are in shape, beautiful men, beautiful women, and they're smoking. And that's just the perception that we get. Oh, it's okay, you can work out and exercise and smoke and you'll be fine. But I wish someone would show you your lungs for you to really know what's going on inside that doesn't appear outside. Now, I smoked for X number of years, and it took a long time, and I'm still not there, to recover. Because when you're young, you don't realize. Your body is still durable, you have endurance, and it doesn't reflect on you yet. But wait until you grow up, and then you will realize the damage you have done, and there's no going back to fix it. There's no going back to fix it. So smoking is really something that you have to quit. It is very bad for you. It doesn't bring you any benefit. You either do it to be cool or because you're stressed out. Many people smoke because their lifestyle is stressful, and they feel that when they puff that cigarette, they kind of relax and calm down. True, I agree. However, that is an indication that the faith in God is weak. Because a Muslim is supposed to find relaxation and the remembrance of Allah. أَلَا بِذِكْرِ اللَّهِ تَطْمَئِنُّ الْقُلُوبُ. When you're stressed out, either you pray or you remember God, you find relaxation. You don't puff on a cigarette. And when you smoke the cigarette and it relaxes you, then you get stressed again, then you smoke again, you become a chain smoker, and then from that moment onwards, you become an addict. Where, you know, on the plane, everybody's chilling, and you're dreaming, how can you jump out of the window to smoke the cigarette on the wing of the plane and come back inside? Or even worse, and that I couldn't believe, CEOs, people with money, up and down, they drown, they sleep in money. He doesn't have a bed, he has dollars to sleep in. This guy is so addicted to smoking, you know what he does on an airplane? He goes to the bathroom, what do they call it, the lavatory or something like that, huh? And he opens the toilet, and he puts his head in the toilet, he lights the cigarette, takes one long puff, and blows it into the thing, flushes the toilet right away, closes it, and goes back out. Just where someone had his behind. With all the stink and all the stuff. Look at the humiliation to puff, because it's a 9-hour flight. No way on earth he can survive without a cigarette. Look at the humiliation you bring about yourself for a cigarette. People say, I can't quit, I'm trying to quit, I can't quit. You're lying. You're lying to yourself. You're lying to yourself. If a doctor were to tell you, upon taking some tests, that if you were to smoke one more cigarette, you will die. You're a smoker, you go to the doctor, he runs some tests on your lungs and whatever, and he says, look, I have the result. One more cigarette and you will die. Are you going to smoke that one cigarette? 99% of the people, if they're not suicidal, they will say, no, I will quit. There you go. You're just waiting for something dramatic, something extreme to quit. Otherwise, the will is there, but you don't have it on active. You have turned it off and shut it down conveniently, and you keep telling yourself, maybe I need to next week, not help me out, I'm struggling. No, 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 all this is just bluffing. You're just bluffing yourself. If you and a cigarette were going to a boxing ring, who will knock out who? Can a cigarette knock you out? You're a man or a woman, big, you grab a cigarette, break it in half, throw it in the trash, done. If you wanted to quit, you will quit now. But you don't want to quit. You have some hope that you will quit. So anyone who says, I can't quit, they really don't want to do it. Because the doctor has not yet come and told them you will die if you smoke one more cigarette. But I'm saying to you, don't wait that long. You may get cancer the next cigarette you smoke. Don't wait that long. Quit now before it's too late. Then you can enjoy your life much better.
As a practicing Muslim, Muslims tend to have limitations in joining the events of the university. How do we know which one is okay and which is not from Islamic perspective? And how to tell our friends about the events that is against Islamic teachings?
Well, you just have to learn. It is the only solution for this is education, knowledge of the religion of Islam. When you know your religion, then you'll be able to differentiate between what is lawful and what is unlawful. I cannot really tell you now because I don't know what kind of events you have on campus. But you know, some are evidently impermissible and some may be doubtful. It depends on what's really going on there. You ask the people of knowledge. If you don't know, you ask someone who knows. And there are knowledgeable people on campus whom you can ask. Say the event will have A, B, C. Is this okay or not okay? Then sometimes you have to weigh the benefits and the harms. Meaning, there could be some harm, but the benefit is greater. You can still go in order to attain a greater benefit. Sometimes it's the other way around. There's a minor benefit, but a greater harm. So you do not go because of the greater harm, even though some may argue, but there's a benefit. So only a knowledgeable person can differentiate between these two. Knows how to weigh things and say, no, this is a sinful, very heavy sin in Islam, and this is a light matter. Then they're able to tell you whether you can or cannot go.
Second part is how to tell your friends about it. If let's say you knew that.
Send them a WhatsApp. It's free.
Can a woman marry a man who is not yet a good Muslim, not praying 5 times a day, and hope that after marriage he will change.
What if he doesn't? What if he doesn't? That's what we have. That's where we have to keep it real with ourselves. That's a nice, optimistic outlook on life, but it is not realistic. It is not realistic to hope that after you marry him, he will start and he will do this and he will change. Most men do not change like that. And most men, I'm not going to say all, most men will not listen to his wife specifically because he thinks that he is the man and she is the woman. Let's be blunt about it. So sister, you need to think about that. That he will feel that he's the man of the house and you're telling him how to live his life. And believe me, I'm telling you this from experience. Hundreds of cases brought where the more the sister will try to ask her husband to follow the religion, the more he would go away. Deliberately, in spite of her, hurting her feelings, ignoring her needs, and just basically walking all over her. Unfortunately, some men do this. So we say, don't do this. Either you find the righteous man from the very beginning, or forget about this guy until he fixes himself. If you give him a chance to fix himself, then he fixes himself, then you get married, fantastic. That's good news. But if you want to go for it now and then hope he will change later, that's a very risky move. Very risky. And if it doesn't work out, marriage is not a joke. It's not like you tried a flavor of ice cream, then you realize you don't like it, you give it to your friend, you get another ice cream. This is marriage. Big stuff. So, don't do that. No, do not marry such a man.
Do all Muslims enter paradise? If yes, how about those who are not really practicing Islam in their life?
Any Muslim, by definition, a Muslim is someone who submits to Islam, someone who at least after bearing witness that there is no deity worthy of worship but Allah, and after bearing witness that Muhammad is the messenger of Allah, that person establishes salah, prayer. If we don't have these two, then we have to really debate on whether that person is still a Muslim. There is a difference of opinion among the scholars. Let's just say a very strong opinion is that the one who doesn't pray has left Islam. So any Muslim who lived this life where he has the first condition and prayer, yet that person was involved in all kinds of sins and all kinds of wickedness and all kinds of what you want to call it, and he died, then either Allah will forgive that person on the day of judgment, it's Allah's choice, or Allah will punish that person in the hellfire accordingly, after which he will be admitted or she will be admitted to paradise. So if you are a believer, a Muslim, then ultimately at some point in time, your final abode is paradise, wherein you will remain eternally, ultimately. Even if you go through some punishment prior to that because of shortcomings and sinfulness and wickedness and so on and so forth. But if a person does not meet these two conditions, therefore he is not a Muslim, then there's no such solution down the line. There's eternal hellfire with no chance of entering paradise. And that's a very big deal. So make sure you make the right choices.
Okay, we have questions. But please make your question clear from the beginning, especially you, Dean Islam. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum, Shaykh.
Alaikum salam.
The first question is...
First question?
First question.
Yeah. Okay. Who is awliya and can they do some miracles, and what's special about their miracles?
Al-awliya is the plural of wali, and a wali is someone whom Allah loves, a close friend of Allah. If you want their definition, it's in the Qur'an. ألا إن أولياء الله لا خوف عليهم ولا هم يحزنون الذين آمنوا وكانوا يتقون. Verily, the awliya of Allah, the friends of Allah, there should be no grief over them, nor should they be sad. Who are they? Those who believed and used to fear Allah. So anyone here, if he believes in Allah and he's mindful of Allah, he's a wali. and Allah Azza wa Jal may treat that person in a certain way and bless him in certain ways that he does not bless others. So yes, we do believe that the awliya, those who are close to Allah, that certain things happen to them. It's part of the belief of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, that things of miraculous nature. But the issue we have today in this day and time is that every Tom, Dick and Harry claims to be a wali, or says that Fulan who's dead already is a wali, and that you cannot do because you don't know his relationship with Allah. And then they come up with all kinds of funny stuff and they say that this is a miracle. Then you have to take time out and evaluate, and then you can prove either that this is truly a miracle from Allah or something from the works of the devils on earth. So it's not just one, it's gray actually. It's not black and white, it's gray. It depends. But yes, believing that that happens, absolutely, it's part of our belief.
Second question. Okay. If person tells you that, okay, I'm gonna believe in Allah, I'm gonna accept everything, all this Islamic stuff, but I just not sure I can practice that all, and I'm not gonna pray now, I'm not gonna do anything connected with Islam, but I just gonna believe in Allah, I accept everything from Islam, but without practicing, and just do good stuff to all the relatives, all the friends, and what would you advise him?
He's confused. How is he going to accept and not do anything? It's impossible. If he accepts, he has to do. Because mere acknowledgement is of no value. Okay? Someone, you see a fire next to you, okay? And you have a fire extinguisher, and you're a firefighter by profession. And then you stand in front of people and say, oh, by the way, there's a fire. I accept the fact that there's a fire. Now see you guys later. I hope you all burn. Say, excuse me, sir, put out the fire. You accepting the fact that there's a fire is meaningless unless you do something about it. So as you accept Islam, but it's okay, I'm not going to do anything about it, I'm just going to accept it. It's like not accepting it. Or actually it's an insult to that acceptance. Just like that firefighter walking out is an insult to us when he left us to deal with it, even though he's able to deal with it better than all of us combined. It's an insult. So that is an insult to Islam. Oh, I accept Islam, but it's not good enough for me to do something. No such thing. He just has to do it. That's just he's deceiving himself through the works of the devil to think that this is an okay position or stance. No such thing.
Okay, before we go to the brother side again, sisters, is there any question?
I think I scared the sisters or something. You noticed? No one ever asks questions from the sisters' side. It's okay.
Brothers.
I can live with it.
Brother, as we know from the previous lecture that how much hard and distressful it was for the brother Yusuf and other new Muslims
I'm sorry, raise your hand while you're speaking.
to find the truth and the purpose of life. Even then, he was living in the UK where the information is readily available. What about the countries where it is not? How distressful it will be for them? How they will be getting this beautiful knowledge which we are getting here in these lectures? Isn't we have to do something for it? What Prophet ﷺ did in this regard, and what he ordered and what companions did?
Akhi, nowadays things have changed a lot. I don't really believe there's a place on earth except some places where the people there are not reachable. Internet is everywhere. Telephones are everywhere. Mail. You can ship things via air shipment. The means to send information to people on earth, all over earth, are plenty. There may be some exceptions to the rule in some jungles where some primitive people live that we haven't met before. Let's just exclude that from the equation. But everyone else is reachable, at least via YouTube. Except in some countries where YouTube is banned, like in Pakistan, for example. But other than that, the same message can be delivered. Like right now, we're recording this, and tomorrow this can be watched by people in Australia, people in America, people in the UK. Look how easy it is. Just one small device here, and then another device to record the audio, and we're done. So each Muslim is supposed to do what is within his capabilities. If he lives among them, then he invites them to the religion. If he lives abroad, then he uses modern technology, each according to his ability. Clear?
Okay, any questions from Mr. Said? Okay.
Dear Sheikh, my question is, what do you mean by complete reliance on Allah? Shouldn't we work hard and do everything we can do? Just explain in a bit more detail. And the second thing, regarding the overconfidence of doing something, can I do it or should I just rely on Allah and just stuff like that?
Right. Well, I'm glad that you see, I'm one of the worst people to advertise one's own channel and website. Imagine how many times I've spoken to you guys and I always fail in mentioning One Way to Paradise, even though that's really my thing. My website, onewaytoparadise.net, and the YouTube channel, youtube.com/onewaytoparadise, and Facebook, One Way to Paradise, and Twitter, One Way to Paradise, and I don't even know what else One Way to Paradise, right? But on One Way to Paradise, brother, there's one lecture titled, Do I Rely on the Tide? Do I rely on the tide? And the whole lecture is meant to answer that very question you asked. So I'm going to use this as an opportunity to advertise the website, and hopefully some of you guys will go on that YouTube channel, watch that lecture, and from there you'll see related videos and watch other lectures, and that way I'll get more hits. But don't worry, I'm not subscribed to some money-making machine with YouTube. I don't care, because the advertisement they will put usually is un-Islamic. So I won't make any money out of this, but I hope if Allah accepts, I will get more reward. So watch the lecture, Do I Rely on the Tide?
I want to ask you about something. During the Day of Judgment, is there any memory left about the dunya?
Yes, on the Day of Judgment you remember everything about the dunya. Even when you enter paradise or the hellfire, you will still remember the matters of the dunya. That's why we have from the many authentic traditions that the people in paradise will be conversing with each other as in the Qur'an, and they will say, remember what we did such and such, and remember how we used to worship Allah together and during the worldly life, and how Allah blessed us. Yeah, you will be able to recall. And you will be able to think about other people. Yes, you will recollect the events. But the good news for us is that in paradise there will be no ill feelings, period. You will never feel bad, never feel guilty, never feel unsatisfied, never feel that there's something else you want that is not there. Such feelings do not exist in paradise. Everyone will be satisfied to the full. Even if that person is in the lowest part of the paradise, and there are other people on the highest top location in paradise in Firdaus, the one at the lowest part will not feel any bad at all. Nothing bad like I wish I did, no such thing. Everybody will be happy. But yes, you'll be able to remember the dunya, the worldly life. And you remember this lecture, inshallah.
What is the ruling of arranged marriage as Rida Walidain? It's crucial in Islam.
I mean, arranged marriage, if the parents are going to force their children to marry people they don't want to marry, that's not allowed in Islam. Simple as that. You cannot be forced into a marriage when you don't want to be with that other person. So, no such thing. But if you sacrifice for the sake of pleasing your parents and you know you're able to manage this relationship, then that's good. The fact that you made your parents happy, because that's something that is required of you in Islam. But if you know you can't deal with it, don't do it.
Inshallah, in 15 minutes we'll be ending the lecture. Sorry about first, too many questions. Is there any proof from the Qur'an or the Sunnah about smoking is haram?
Yes, there is. There are multiple evidences from the Qur'an and the Sunnah. The first of which is the statement of Allah Azza wa Jal, وَلَا تَقْتُلُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ. Do not kill yourselves. Do not kill yourselves. And for someone to say that smoking doesn't kill, I would like him to go and ask the cigarette companies, why is it that they put on the very pack of cigarettes a warning that smoking causes cancer and death and so on and so forth, which is the most amazing thing in the world. Can you imagine yourself going to a restaurant to buy some food and they have on the menu next to it, this food contains poison. If you die afterwards, we have nothing to do with you. And you're like, oh wow, give me 3 of those. Hello? It says on the thing. It can kill you. And they're forced to put it and you still buy the thing, which is really wild. So, smoking kills and killing yourself is not allowed in Islam. Now, killing yourself, whether you put a gun to your head and bust the cap, wasn't that that was Busta Rhymes, I'm sorry. And you bust the cap, or whether you take poison over a period of 3 weeks and you die. It doesn't matter, both are considered suicide, they're not allowed. The second evidence is the statement of Allah, وَلَا تُلْقُوا بِأَيْدِيكُمْ إِلَى التَّهْلُكَةِ. Do not bring destruction upon yourselves. The third evidence is in the Qur'an. Allah, when describing the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, he said, وَيُحِلُّ لَهُمُ الطَّيِّبَاتِ وَيُحَرِّمُ عَلَيْهِمُ الْخَبَائِثِ. The Prophet Muhammad will make lawful for the followers طيبات, good, and he will make unlawful that which is bad. Now, can anyone on earth, if we had 2 columns, one that says good and one that says bad, can anyone put the cigarette under the column of goods? Like he would put beans and vegetables and rice and so on and so forth. Can you really squeeze the cigarette there? No. You will have to put it in bad. And the ayah explicitly says, anything which is bad for you, the Prophet Muhammad already made prohibited. And then, these are 3 evidences from the Qur'an. There's one more narration from the Prophet, peace be upon him, wherein he said, لا ضرر ولا ضرار. There shall be no harm caused to yourself, nor any reciprocation of harm to others. You're neither allowed to harm yourself, nor can you harm others. And guess what? Smoking harms you, and it harms others. And the harm it does to others may be worse than the harm it does to you. You know how many people hate the smell of smoke? And then you're walking on campus smoking, and you're forcing 3, 4, 5, 10, 20, 30 people to smoke right along with you. That's just really offensive, least to say. If I wanted to listen to Qur'an, which we believe is the Word of God, and if I turn up the volume, and that volume will disturb you, I as a Muslim will feel ashamed to be so careless, and I will turn it down as means of courtesy towards you, because you don't want to hear what I want to hear. That is the word of Allah. Let alone a cigarette, where you don't care whether people like it or don't like it, you just have to smoke along with me because I'm in the mood to smoke a cigarette. This is really carelessness. I know that many people don't think this way, but allow me to bring it to your attention. Trust me, there are many people that hate the smell of smoke. And when you smoke in public, you're forcing all of them to smoke along with you. That's very bad. Because on the Day of Judgment, according to Islam, you will have to pay them back. They will ask you, where's the fresh air that God created that you deprived me of? Give me back the fresh air that I didn't have, and you will not be able to give it to them then. So all of these are evidences about the prohibition of smoking. So I hope you quit. Inshallah.
Jazakallah khair, ya Shaykh. Just because we don't have much time, the prayer will be given for the quicker questions. Is there a way to forget certain events or ask Allah to make it as if it never existed, like if one was raped as a child?
No, I mean there's no way of really forgetting about something like that, because it has such an impact and it affects a person's psychology until they pass away. So I don't know of any solution. I don't know if you like buy a pill from the pharmacy and that makes you forget everything that happened while you were a child. Obviously that's not the case. So yeah, that's something that you will have to live with, but be positive. Be positive. Remember that these things happen by the will of God, and that there's goodness for you in it down the line. It will not go unnoticed. Meaning, the Prophet Muhammad said, for the believer, no grief, no sadness, no sorrow, no pain, not even the thorn poking your finger. Any of these, if they afflict you, it will be means for your sins to be forgiven by Allah. So a person who was raped as a child will have to live with this for the rest of their lives, and it will always bring agony. And every time they feel bad about it, Allah will make this means for them for their sins to be forgiven and their degrees in paradise to be raised. So this worldly life may not be the best, but you are looking to invest into the life to come. So don't let that stop you from moving forward and trying to continue your life in a normal way. Get over it and let it make you stronger. These things usually make you stronger. So use it to become stronger, to become closer to Allah, and you will be paid back. 100%. You will be rewarded on the last day according to the suffering that you had to undergo when you were a child.
Can a Muslim sister wear makeup?
At home, of course. Yeah, if she's at home and she likes to wear makeup and she likes to dress as a chicken, she likes to, I don't know, swim on the ground. None of our business what she does, Do what makes you happy at home. But if you mean by wearing makeup, you're going to beautify yourself and then go, walk around the males, then no. Obviously that is not good, because we said Islam was meant to protect both men and women from that temptation they have towards each other. And yes, some men may see you wear makeup and don't care, and others will appreciate your beauty, and then that will lead to other things. So wearing makeup is zina, and Allah says in the Qur'an, وَلَا يُبْدِينَ زِينَتَهُنْ. They should not display their adornment. Allah is telling the believing women, do not display your adornment. In fact, the verse speaks about the anklet. If the anklet which is hidden makes sounds, and it may attract someone, then you will prevent it from making such sounds as means of attracting others. So you may say, well, okay, but this is tough. We say, no, it is not. This is part of the restriction that you have to go through to attain paradise. There has to be discipline to attain paradise. This is the way it is. When you get married, then you can put all the makeup in the world for your husband, or at home with your father and siblings and whatever. There's absolutely no issue. But outside amongst men, then this makeup system is not going to it's not going to do you any good. It will not do you any good. Either it will bring unnecessary attention, which you are supposed to dislike. If a man starts hitting on you and trying to, trying to get to know you or whatever, you're supposed to be offended by that. And then if you're putting on makeup, it's really contradicting yourself. You're telling him, well, check me out, and you say, well, leave me alone. And the man is confused, because he doesn't understand why you're doing that. Or, you just don't put it on, and therefore, or you want that kind of attention from men. And then we go back to the issue of, do you really want to have relations before marriage? Do you want to pick up a sexually transmitted disease? Would you like to get pregnant? What is it that you're looking for? Do you want to be dumped by him? Do you want to be cheated on? Do you want to be used and abused by men who may have no limit for the number of women they go out with? What do you want? Or you think every man is honest? So you just have to choose. Either you get married and you enjoy your husband and he enjoys you in a lawful manner, or you want to party early on, but there are consequences. So, it's a tough choice, but you have to choose what is better for you down the line.
Last two questions. What do you think when a girl chooses not to wear hijab because of her rights? Is being liberal okay?
Being liberal?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, but define liberal. Is being raped liberal? Because today, do we have the phenomena of men raping women? We just heard the example of a child, for Allah's sake. A child being raped. How many cycles do we have in this world? A lot. And these cycles, they basically pick up on signs that they see. They pick up on signs. So we can all agree, and I challenge anyone to disagree. If two women were walking down the street and there's a rapist who's hiding behind a tree looking for his next victim, one was fully covered and the other one was wearing a mini skirt with the tank tops and the whole 9 yards. Which one is he going to rape? Ultimately, the naked one, because he already knows what he's getting. The one covered could be a surprise. So most likely 99.99% of men will go for the one who showed it. Plus in his mind he's thinking, anyway she's dressed like this because she wants attention, so I'm gonna give you special attention right now. Seriously, I mean these are facts. So when if Christians want to object, we say then why do you think nuns are nuns? And why was Mary always displayed as a woman who covered herself? Why in the Jewish tradition, women look just like Muslim women? They wear niqab and hijab and the whole 9 yards. No, the whole thing. It's the same thing among religious people. It's the normal dress code. So it's just the way it is, you know. You considering the fact that you're not wearing hijab is a form of liberation, I say it is an enslavement to the hungry men. And you, woman, has been subjected to humiliation because of this desire in men. That's why if they want to sell any item on earth, they bring a woman. Anything. If it's a candy bar, it's a woman, feeding the man a candy bar. If it's a razor, then a woman is shaving the beard of a man. If it's a deodorant, then a bunch of women are standing there while Mr. Macho walks around with this deodorant smelling all nice and fluffy. With this big old bush right under his armpit. And all these women are chasing after him. Everything is a woman. If you want to buy a car, they put a naked woman in a bikini on the hood of the car. And yesterday, I don't watch TV much, and I figured, hey, in this hotel room, there's something called Fox Sports. And I like sports. So I'm watching, some fighting. Supposed to be martial arts. And all of a sudden, a naked woman in her swimming suit picked up the thing and she got into the ring and started walking. I said, what is this, man? I turned off the TV. What the heck? I was watching two people beating each other, for Allah's sake. And what role do you have in all of this? And then what do you think? The men are sitting there with his wife next to him and some gorgeous lady is walking around, the ring. And then what is he going to do? Look at his wife. Oh, I love you, honey, so much. Ugly old lady. Stupid. The man is looking over this and, oh, man. And that lady in the actual ring, she does not realize the problem she's creating for all these families. Seriously. She thinks this is her moment. All her life she's been waiting for her to display her nakedness in front of everyone. And there it is. But in reality, she's being looked at as a sex object. Every man did nothing. Oh, what a righteous woman. What a wonder. I'm sure she's very smart in mathematics. There's nothing like that. Why is she walking around in her bathing suit even though there's no swimming pool there? Because women have been used by men. Trust me. You know whose idea that was? Do you think it was a bunch of women? Let's put you on the stage and make you naked. No, it was a man. It was men who are hungry for more and more and more. Say, hey, anytime there's an event, bring women. Even if it's Formula 1, there has to be a woman at the end. She's the one who's waving the flag. And I realize that everywhere you go and everything, it's always a naked woman. So, my sister, why do you allow these sick men to abuse you like this? When Islam gave you a solution, cover yourself and have a peace of mind. No one will rape you, inshallah. And you don't have to worry about these kind of sick men who exist. And the only one who gets to see your ultimate beauty is your husband. It's a win-win situation. It's really very simple and basic. But women have been deceived by thinking, no, that is oppression, this is liberation. We men, enjoying you to the maximum is liberation for you. But you know deep within that you don't like to be abused. You don't appreciate being abused. And when you wear the hijab, you're closing all doors of abuse. So put on the hijab, inshallah.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. Final question. How to repent to Allah and also how to stay steadfast?
Well, how to repent to Allah is very easy. First, you do it for the sake of Allah, not for the sake of people. Secondly, you have the resolve. And secondly, you feel guilty. You must feel guilty. There's no repentance if there's no guilt. You know you did something wrong. Thirdly, Thirdly, you're leaving already, I'm not done. Thirdly, you have the intention never to go back to it again. You have the intention never to go back to it again. Fourthly, you abandon that thing, whatever it is. And fifthly, you do it before your soul leaves your body, your collarbone, or before the sun rises from where it sets. These are the conditions of tawbah. If you want the detailed, lengthy explanation, then there's a lecture on YouTube on One Way to Paradise titled, what is the title of the lecture? And return to your Lord in repentance, or turn to your Lord in repentance. I explain in that lecture all of the conditions of repentance, how is it to be done, what if you fall into the same sin which you have repented from before. All of the examples and the details are available in the lecture on One Way to Paradise, so take the time to watch it, inshallah. Huh? Rap? I stopped rapping a long time ago. Wrap it up. Well, hey, you know, here we go again. The end, as they say, the dramatic end. At the end, I say to myself and to you that these events carry a lot of good in them, and they bring a lot of frustration as well, and sometimes controversy, sometimes offensiveness. I realize that it's not easy for you to have someone tell you so many things at the same time, all of them which you feel are incorrect or too much to swallow. I know how difficult it is. But I hope that at least you could have picked up on some things which made sense to you, and you can use them to continue your journey. Maybe some of the things I said now you don't understand. I understand, because as you move on in your journey, things which you didn't understand before will make sense to you in the future. So especially for the non-Muslims, a lot of the stuff we say, this doesn't click with them. They just don't see the relationship between what we're saying and how they're living. But I say that's only because you are at that stage. Continue your journey. If you found something beneficial in these lectures, continue the journey. One day, inshallah, you will come to see what we were talking about. And if we did anything or anything happened which is disagreeable to you or offended you or wasn't good, then we're human beings, we're prone to error, we're not perfectionists, we cannot be perfect, and we make mistakes. So forgive us and pardon us if anything that came from the Islamic society at large or from me specifically